Pelosi says she will not seek re-election. In a video posted on social media, Pelosi's thanking the people of San Francisco and urging them to keep fighting to make the country a better place.
I will not be seeking re-election to Congress. With a grateful heart, I look forward to my final year of service as your proud representative. As we go forward, my message to the city I love is this: San Francisco, know your power. We have made history, we have made progress, we have always led the way. And now we must continue to do so by remaining full participants in our democracy and fighting for the American ideals we hold dear.
ABC's Jay O'Brien's on Capitol Hill with more. Jay, why make this announcement now?
Yeah, Diane, Nancy Pelosi saying she won't run for re-election because of, in part, or at least it made today, because it comes after Election Day. Nancy Pelosi was integral in Prop 50 in California. That was that redistricting effort in that state that was successful, redrawing the state's congressional maps to try to get 5 additional Democratic seats. And Nancy Pelosi's office signaled that she would release a decision about what would be next for her after Election Day. And now that this video comes out, it is the turning of a very significant page here on Capitol Hill. Someone who had an iron grip on the Democratic caucus when she was Speaker of the House. Someone who's been in caucus, in Congress since the late 1980s. She was the first female Speaker of the House, known for, as she said in that video there, reminding Democrats time and time again, particularly women in Congress, to know their power, to know their strength, and to know how they can get things done. Nancy Pelosi seen as someone who was able to bend the Democratic caucus really to her will and get things done up here on Capitol Hill. One more point here. We don't know what will happen now with this seat. We don't know who is next in line for it. There's speculation up here on the Hill, but we're already starting to see some reaction trickling in from Democrats, because there were some who expected this announcement, remarking so consistently, Diane, on Nancy Pelosi's strength.
Jay, Pelosi stepped down as minority leader 3 years ago, saying it was time for a new generation to lead. What does her retirement now mean for the Democratic Party?
Well, it is a new chapter in the Democratic Party, and it's just another signifier of that. When she turned over the reins to Hakeem Jeffries, now the top Democrat in the House, that was one of the first steps in the direction of a new era of Democratic leadership and a leaving of the decades, really, of Pelosi era of Democratic leadership, where you had an iron grip on the caucus, where Democrats were known for their unity, and their unity was their strength, et cetera, et cetera. Now it's a much different Democratic caucus with Hakeem Jeffries at the reins. But Nancy Pelosi, someone who was so frequently known for being a standard bearer for the Democratic caucus in the House, in her dealings with President Trump in the first term. Remember some of their fiery interactions in the Oval Office. Remember that moment where she ripped up President Trump's State of the Union in the first term. She was someone who could galvanize Democrats with her ability to stand firm in opposition to President Trump. But again, she was someone who was able to galvanize Democrats with her strength as well. We were just talking up here on the Hill about a quintessential Nancy Pelosi story that's probably less than a year old, where she was on a diplomatic trip overseas and she fell and shattered her hip. And still, while wearing stiletto heels, as she so typically wore and still wears, she stood up, she gripped the arm of a fellow lawmaker, she steadied herself, she posed for a group photo, and then she went to the hospital for them to treat her for a broken hip. It is that strength that Democrats so often rallied around. And now this is a new era for the Democratic Party. And it's the closing of this chapter with her deciding that she will not run for re-election come November 2026.
All right, Jay O'Brien, thank you.